Hello and welcome to this quick video today. So today we are going to rank the support companies from S to F tier in the newest DLC, got it wrong. And let's just head right in with AA. AA is still awesome. It is still quite clearly S tier. For those of you that don't know, AA gives a 75% cast reduction if you have even like 13 air attack in your unit. So AA1 will already give the max air reduction. And that has become even more broken since air attack or CAS has been buffed a lot in the last update. CAS is absolutely Thanos right now in vanilla, so this one is a must-have on any unit that fights under yellow or red air. Okay, support RT is honestly also an S tier. It is not used in every single division, like literally every single division. You know, tanks don't have support RT, but it is used in so many divisions, and it's basically must-have for all offensive infantry divisions due to the new battalion modifier that gets added over the assault infantry click. Support RT, for those of you that have seen my doctrine guide, is used in virtually all offensive infantry, all special forces, can even be used in defensive infantry, can also in theory be used on SPG tanks or something like that, okay? So it's just awesome overall. This is also quite clearly an S tier. Anti-tank is quite good, but I will give it B tier. First of all, it doesn't have much use in single player. Second of all, line anti-tank is pretty good, which debuffs anti-tank in the support company quite a bit, because in often cases, or in many cases in multiplayer, you want to go for line anti-tank, so you actually get enough piercing to pierce the enemy tanks, and that just renders support anti-tank useless, since line anti-tank also just costs 1 combat worth. Support rocket RT is just not that good right now. Like, obviously you get a little bit of soft attack, but there are almost no units that have for empty slot, especially since so many support companies are so good right now. So I just can't give it anything higher than C tier. You can use it in some meme divisions, or not in meme divisions. Like, you can use it in some divisions proper, but usually they're just better choices. This one, however, is probably also B tier. It is also not used in all too many divisions, again, because there are so many other useful support companies, but it is fine. So I will give super heavy RT B tier. It's not as good as RT or anti-air, but it can be used from time to time. Here, this is the self-propelled version of this, which is just pretty much the same. Like, it gets used like a few times, but this one is even a little bit harder to get, so I guess I will put it high C tier. Engineers are an A tier support company, in my opinion. Like, normal pure engineers are not used that commonly, but they are quite good for all defensive units. Actually, no, I will revise, because we also have armored engineers on this list. So we will put this into C tier, honestly, because normal engineers are almost never used at the moment. Like, you can use them for, I suppose, if you want to use defensive infantry, you would use those. And with defensive infantry, I mean like large infantry divisions that actually try to hold. But usually they are just better choices, to which we will come later. Pioneers are really good. They are only used in Marines, therefore they can't get this high of a tier, but I'll just give them B tier, you know, because they're really not good if you're doing anything other than Marines, but they are really good or must have if you're doing Marines. So they are used quite frequently. Field hospitals go at the top of the S tier. It's still the only support company that is commonly banned in multiplayer, right? Because if you have Field Hospital 2, on BAP or on the Eastern Front as Germany, you can just grind veterans for free, which in pure vanilla is completely busted and overpowered. Also gives 10% HP, which is just an awesome modifier. Logi companies go into A tier. Logi companies are still a must-have on a lot of fronts, including the Eastern Front, Africa, even to a large extent D-Day. Big parts of Asia also need it. So it is just very good. So I feel like an A tier is pretty justified. Because, you know, there's no multiplayer lobby or no good multiplayer lobby where you don't see this being used at least in like 20, maybe 30% of the units, okay? So probably even more. Yeah, this company is F tier. Maintenance doesn't really do much. Reliability is still not all that important, okay? I would basically never go for it. There's no scenario where I would ever feel like this is useful. So there's just no other tier for it other than F tier. Military police should go into C tier. I think military police is actually very underrated. It is not used commonly in multiplayer, but it gives 20% recovery to your inf. It gives, it is quite a cheap source of just defense. Also gives quite a few other stats. So especially if you're playing in a low IC scenario where you just have some gun spare, you don't even need the support equipment. If you just have a gun spare, this might be worth going for. But that is not the majority of scenarios, so this will go into C tier. The armored MP variant is not really useful either. I just put it into D tier. Signal companies are, in my opinion, I would even say they're in S tier. The S tier is getting a little bit stacked, so I'm kind of worried about that. But we'll just do it still. The signal company is very good. It is a must-have in almost all infantry. It is very good in tanks, in special forces, and in basically everything, because you get coordination for the offense, which is very useful, and on the defense, you get reinforce rate, which is also very important to have. The units that don't use this, for example, are D-Day wall units or something. You know, units that usually don't have to reinforce. Defensive units that don't have to reinforce, but this is such a niche scenario, or it's not very niche, you know, it happens every game, but it doesn't happen for most of the units. And most of the countries will have to use them, so I think they're quite clearly in S tier, and I want to rank the S tier even a little bit. I think I put them even over RT, like they're more commonly used than RT. Then we have this battalion. I will not rank like the special battalions, because most countries don't have them, like any of these battalions. So I am not qualified to speak about them, but they are also not used in multiplayer scenarios usually. Then we have our super heavy tanks here, which I will just rank once, because I think the rank for all of them will be pretty much the same. And I think they deserve a space in B tier, or honestly high C tier, because if they're allowed, they are quite good, because like just the amount of armor that you have makes them very useful for defensive divisions, but it's not very useful for offensive divisions usually, because like they get insane terrain debuffs, which just means that for offensive units it doesn't really work, but on defensive units that just want to entrench on D-Day wall or something, if they're allowed, they are very much worth going for, because it's just incredibly hard for the enemy to pierce them. Here is Rangers. Rangers probably go into A tier. Rangers... Okay, no, never mind. That's not true anymore. I think Rangers nowadays go into the C tier. Rangers have been pretty much replaced by support light tank Recon, because support light tank Recon gives very useful battalion modifiers now to tanks, and also to infantry. So it's virtually never worth it to go for Rangers, because Rangers and support light tank Recon are mutually exclusive. So I think Rangers cannot get any more than C tier. You can still do them for like Mountaineers if you want to max out mountain stats completely. Yeah, but otherwise they're not that great. Cavalry Recon goes into C tier. It's basically never used. Armored Car Recon probably goes into F tier. Motorized Recon, I guess, also goes into D tier. Light tank Recon goes into high A tier. It is used for good infantry division. It is used for tank divisions. It is not used for any of the defensive divisions. It's also not very useful for any of the defensive divisions. So it does deserve its spot in A tier. Then we have the Paratrooper Light Tank. The Paratrooper Light Tank goes into D tier. Let's just do... I mean, bottom C tier again is kind of silly. No, we'll put it into D tier. It basically got replaced completely by the normal Light Tank Recon battalion, because this doesn't get the battalion modifiers that the normal Light Tank Recon get. And the battalion modifiers of a normal Light Tank Recon is what basically makes the normal Light Tank Recon strong. For some niche scenarios, this might still be worth going for, especially if you actually want a power drop, you know. But usually don't bother with this. So light flame tanks are pretty good if you are actually playing a very low IC scenario. But if you are playing a very low IC scenario, I would usually just not go for flame tanks at all. Because, you know, the facility actually costs a lot as well. But I suppose there are some scenarios where this might happen, and I put them at the top of C tier for that. Our medium flame tanks obviously go into S tier. Medium flame tanks, awesome. Any offensive division really needs them. Heavy flame tanks are not very useful. You can do some funny armor memes with that in like very low IC scenarios, but we'll just put them into D tier because that basically never happens. Assault engineers are A tier. They are used in all of your tanks. They should be used on your special forces. That should serve like as quote-unquote defensive infantry, you know, if your special forces are meant to actually attack. Like as Japan, these ones are very good. Armored engineers, not assault engineers, just normal armored engineers, go into B tier. They don't have much use in multiplayer, but they are commonly used for D-Day wall divisions, since this is the battalion which gives the most entrenchment in the game, actually. So if you want to max out the defense on a certain spot, like on the D-Day wall, these ones are pretty useful. Armored signal companies, I suppose, actually, okay, I didn't realize that we included this one in here. I suppose this one actually goes into A tier, because I feel like this one offers even better battalion modifiers than the normal signal, and then the signal goes down a tier, actually. Right, I didn't realize that, yeah, I completely forgot that those are separate companies. But yeah, that's true. That makes signal a little bit worse, because you would use this, but I think both of them can deserve a spot in A tier. Yeah, this one goes into F tier. We don't even have to talk about that one. Helicopter logistics are honestly fine. I'd say C tier. You know, they're not that much better than normal logistics, and not most countries have helicopters, but if you do, hey, you may as well go for it. Helicopter Recon goes into D tier. I can't ever remember doing helicopter Recon. I don't think it's much good. Normal helicopters are honestly quite fine, since they give like a lot of HP. But then again, they're not that commonly used, and are not very useful for most of your divisions, like the vast majority of your divisions, because support company slots are very scarce in the new meta, right? As you can see from the S tier having like 4 different support companies, when you have Light Tank Recon, this, there are just too many good support companies, so like a lot of companies just fall down into the bottom tier. So in C tier, I basically put all of the support companies that, you know, are kind of fine, like, may as well go for them, but, you know, you really don't have a slot for them. And D tier and F tier is just, like, they're better alternatives, or they're just completely useless. The field hospital of this is pretty good. So if you actually, like, the field hospitals with helicopters are pretty good. I think if you actually have helicopters, they are worth going for. But since that is rarely the case, I can just put them into B tier, because these are not commonly used. You will not see them on, like, I mean, maybe you see them in like 1 or 2% of the divisions in the lobby, at maximum, if it's a good multiplayer lobby. So yeah, those can only be B tier. Yeah, so I think this is pretty much the list event. You guys should let me know what you think about this in the comments, if you would rank anything different. Yeah, and that would be it. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe, and goodbye.